Yo, YouTube, what's going on? Your boys from
Who's the master?
That was a little loud. Sorry.
that was blew out some speakers. Like you blow out the back of your pants from time to time, Bobo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we're back. We're back with another episode of Who's the Master, and we are not alone, guys.
We got a guest today, but you've seen him on the channel before. Actor Andrew's in the house.
What up, Worley?
Hey,
Burley is in the house.
it's good to be here. Good to be here, fellas.
Yeah,
Yeah,
glad you
good.
are here.
I got a beautiful day off at work, and I was like, I'm joining you losers today.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Grabbing yourself some coffee,
Yeah.
kicking back your feet.
And I made that gourmet coffee, by the way, which is excellent. I got some too.
Yo, yeah, all right, but we're already getting shirt for this. So let's go ahead and address this elephant in the room, okay? Who's in charge of scheduling here? The same people who schedule Team Night Rider. Listen, Bobo has a problem. He always craves coffee right before the start of the podcast. You know?
That's my Knight Rider theme.
Loser content. Ooh.
Whoa, loser
Oh,
content.
man.
What is
I
that?
mean, I think you still struck a nerve with your Batman comments. And we're
Are
gonna
you
get
still
into
mad at
some-
me, Dirt? Man, loser content. That's okay.
Boys, are you guys excited for the weekend?
Yes, I'm super excited for the weekend. How about you?
Who's not excited for a weekend, man?
I mean, listen, man, when you're unemployed, every day is a weekend. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the Batman sucks, man. Listen, we may be doing something about this, guys. We'll talk about this in a little bit. But first of all, welcome to the podcast, guys. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button at the bottom if you haven't already subscribed. I think everybody here is subscribed. But if you're watching us a little bit later, help us out. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button. Hit that bell notification up top to get notified when we drop more videos. And let's get started. We got a lot to talk about, including something that we did not get to finish the last time we were up and going. Our review of episode 2 of The Last of Us.
Now, Andrew, you haven't seen this, correct?
No, I haven't got into it yet. I'm trying to finish too many shows at once. But I've heard mixed stuff about it. I heard it's just a copycat of Walking Dead.
No, it's
No,
better than
it's
Walking
not.
Dead. Although, also, spoiler warning, Andrew. Sorry about that. You can't fast forward. You'll be getting spoiled. But no, I think it's better than. And I love season 1 of The Walking Dead, and that's it. I never liked any season after Walking in season 1. But Frank Darabont,
I was very invested in that show, and I just couldn't keep up. I haven't watched like the last 10 episodes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
listen,
it's same for me.
Frank Darabont is no Kevin Smith. He's actually a good director. There you go, Derpy. There you go. Did I fill your quota?
I don't know if you've noticed this, Andrew, but every episode, Ancho has to find some sort of inlet to dog on Kevin Smith.
Oh no, I'm aware. Yeah.
Yeah,
And listen, it's nothing against Kevin Smith. He just sucks. Okay. Like,
there you
he
go.
just-
Yeah, it's fine. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna try to come up with some sort of cool comment, but I don't want to be too mean.
Yeah.
I mean, Anshul, I don't think you're too far off. I think that his better days are behind him.
I do. I've said that.
Listen, he's a grifter, man. He's a grifter. He was never that good. Like, go back and rewatch his movies, and it's painful because there are a lot of movies of his that I love, and you go back and rewatch them, they don't stand the test of time. However, we don't want to get too off on that tangent. We may be doing a video essay on Kevin Smith. Guys, we're going to be possibly releasing a video essay series. We'll be talking a little bit more about that as we go along. But let's go ahead and get to The Last of Us episode 2. A lot of good stuff here. We don't want to go line item by line item like we did last time and bore people, but I think at the beginning of the show, we were hit with the scene that was very important, and it was in Jakarta when we see the first signs of the infection. And
I love that. I
yeah.
love the whole thing. Like this is one of the few times that I enjoyed subtitles, but it was because of the context of what we were watching. It was away from the story we were actually paying attention to. You know what I mean?
Will you like dub over subtitles?
I don't prefer to watch. Okay, let me take this back. I don't enjoy watching subtitles in movies when I'm supposed to be paying attention to the actor's performance, especially in a movie like Pan's Labyrinth, which is a huge visual film, and I'm reading the bottom of the screen and I'm missing monumental tears coming out of people's faces because I just don't like to read when I'm watching a movie.
Well, just read faster, Chief.
Well,
Yeah,
how do you watch foreign movies then?
I don't watch
He doesn't
foreign movies
foreign
hardly.
movies. He doesn't watch them.
Oh wow, that's a shock. Well, who are you going to steal your ideas from?
Right, see, there you go. Maybe if I can come up with something good, I can honestly say I didn't steal it from a foreign film. No,
Okay,
it's
that's-
not that I won't watch foreign films occasionally. I will try them out. Like I've seen a lot of foreign horror. I've seen a lot of Korean horror and things like that. But I don't. It's just I find it. This is just my preference. It's a visual medium to watch a story and listen to the dialogue and stuff like that. When I'm reading huge lengths of paragraphs at the bottom of the screen, I feel like it's why am I reading when I'm supposed to be watching these performances? And that's
okay. Well, I guess we can scratch RRR off the list of things that you need. Well, you keep scratching away more and more that we need to watch.
No, but look, I want to watch RRR. I actually do want to watch that because of all the boom that it's gotten and the fact that it's floating into American culture. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't disagree with that logic of you're taking away what's supposed to be a visual spectacle and watching everything instead of have to focus on reading. I understand that logic, but I mean, subtitles are a necessity sometimes. And
Yeah, listen, I understand Hindi, and I do understand your distraction because I understand Hindi, but when I'm watching a Hindi movie, I can't help but read the subtitles, even though I understand the dialogue, right? So it can be a little distracting, but there's so many good foreign movies out there. I just think of all the great movies I would have missed out on if I didn't read subtitles.
Well, and I'm not saying that I don't watch foreign movies. I just don't hunt them out. I'm not someone that's looking to try to, like, if somebody's like, look, you got to watch this, or if it's something that's like hugely blown up for awards and stuff like that, of course I'm going to give that a shot.
Did you ever watch the original Old Boy?
I did. Yeah. See, like a lot of foreign horror I've seen.
Okay.
I have. And I will say that like the way that's done, the way the Ringu is done is better than the American versions. I'm not going to take that away. I feel like I'm missing out on the performances. I'm not saying that they're badly made. That's not what I'm saying. I just don't like reading.
No, I mean, we don't like, I made that joke about who you're going to rip off. Hollywood. You know, I didn't know this for a long time, and we're going to go ahead and get back on the subject. Derpy's got a comment that'll get us back on track, but you know, I used to watch, there's a lot of like South Indian films that rip off American films. Like I watched a Hollywood version of Ghost starring Patrick Swayze. And I thought that was just a thing where foreign movies ripped off American films. But as you grow older and you start researching a lot of these quote unquote classic films, you realize a lot of them steal from foreign film directors as well, right?
Oh yeah, dude.
I mean, Martin Scorsese's The Departed is a Chinese movie that he basically remade and then lied about it during the launch, saying it was based on what's his face from Boston when it's not, right? He just remade a Chinese movie.
No, that happens a lot for sure.
Yeah.
No. So, I mean, and in sitcoms, TV shows, hugely we pull from from foreign markets.
Yeah. So, well, one thing that you didn't need to take a lot of time to read, which is the most powerful subtitle in this flashback, was bomb. And that's when you find out why these cities are now in the dilapidated state they're in, because this lady who is a fungi expert, an expert in quadriceps, realizes that there's only one way to get rid of this infection. There is no cure. You just got to kill them all, right? And then she has to go home and spend time with her family because she knows she's
part of that kill them all.
She's probably going to get bombed as well, right? So yeah, very powerful scene. Then flash forward to the current time frame. Anything else stand out about that first scene before we move on?
Well,
no, go ahead.
So I never played this video game. So is it if you're a fan of the video game, is it kind of like, oh man, this is not how the game went? So, you know, is it one of those things?
No, it's very close. They do make some changes, but the changes they make are more minor stuff. I never played the game either, but in doing my research, majority of the people say, hey, listen, all the important stuff. In fact, some of the really important scenes are apparently shot for shot from the game.
Oh man, some of them are literally, and that's what gives you chills if you are a fan of those epic moments in the game that happen. And like everyone knew in the first episode when Ellie comes up and she's watching Joel beat that dude, she creeps to the side. She's got a little bit of like, oh, I like that. I mean, that's straight from the game. It's a huge moment in the game. It's a character defining moment for the story. But they're taking the things that make a game, they're taking out. So if that involves maybe some of the way that things happen in the game, like the virus being airborne, they realize that works well for a game, but for an actual movie where we're supposed to believe that this took place in a world that we live in, they took that airborne element out and made it.
They may bring that back though. They've teased that.
Well,
maybe coming into play.
And if they make that a part of the story as it progresses, the virus is getting worse. That's cool too. Either way, I just like that they're making it feel not like a game. They're making it feel like a show. They're not trying to be game gimmicky with it.
I do, and I got this from Clutch Points. They do talk about one Easter egg, which is apparently from the game. It's Ellie and her inability to swim, because apparently there's a lot of little mini games in the game where you have to help Ellie cross water. So apparently that was a nod to that. If you can,
where she's like,
that.
I can't swim, and then he's like, idiot, hello, and he jumps in, and it's like knee deep.
Do you think that the best thing that they did was make this a series and not a movie?
Yeah, 100%. Listen, I never played the game, but I remember hearing about how great a story it was. But I do think, I mean, the game is, how many hours did it take you to beat that game, Bobo? Which apparently you can't even send a text, so I doubt you beat it.
Yeah, I don't even know what that means, Ezzy. But I'm really bad about hours and how long it takes to and counting that. I just know when a game feels short, and I know when a game feels satisfying as far as in length. And I know that was very satisfying in length for me.
That's what she said.
Hey-o. Yeah, so I think that so far they're doing a great job with it. As far as the second episode and everything that happened, I mean, ultimately it was just them sort of pushing further along, through their quest. But we do see, spoiler alert, we do see what's her name there in the back. Why am I drawing a blank on her name? Not Ellie.
Tess.
Yeah, Tess. We do see her demise, which is cool. And it's,
yeah, I don't know if that's a huge shock to everybody though, because I've never played the game, but I think anybody that knows anything about the game knows that the journey is mainly about Joel and Ellie, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, this is the cover,
Yeah.
That's the end of the show.
So I think we all kind of knew she was going to get it. She does get a little gross Me Too action going on right before she dies.
Yeah.
Yeah. She gets the worst French kiss of all time.
Yeah. And it was, so if Andrew hasn't seen this, so these guys, the way they transferred the virus is this fungus, this living, moving fungus starts coming out of their mouth and entering the other person.
Usually through some sort of wound. It could be the neck. Like if they take a bite of the neck, they insure it that way.
Yeah. But this way, she's just she sees her husband and he's this way. And she's like, oh, let me just go ahead and embrace this while I'm about to blow myself up. And so it was very that couldn't have been enjoyable.
No. Now we should also add the reason she's about to sacrifice herself is she has been infected. She's been a matter of time before she's about to turn anyway, right?
Yeah, and Ellie has got the whole point is they're trying to get her to this area where they're trying to develop a cure, and Ellie has been bitten multiple times and can resist the infection.
Yeah.
There ain't nobody else that can do it. So that's
what do you think of our zombies are termed clickers in this universe, right? What did you think of the clickers and their design?
I thought it looked really, at first I was kind of I'm not sure, this seems a little cheap, but I mean, it is kind of like the game, and it is fungi, and if you look at the way fungus grows, it doesn't even need to be rooted. It just grows.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's growing off of their face instead of from them, I did like it. And when you see them up close, it's pretty gnarly, man. And
yeah, I was really about to use that same word. That's pretty gnarly looking, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
I think it's a nice, unique look, because I'm somebody that's honestly gotten tired of zombies, but this has been different and refreshing enough to where I haven't felt that zombie fatigue. I also like the dialogue between Elle and Joel is still funny, because there's a moment where they're both sitting with each other and they're both trying to break the ice, but both of them are so damaged, neither of them wants to talk about themselves, right? So it's this funny dynamic where whenever they get a question about themselves, they try to shut the other person off, and then they respond by trying to open up the conversation again, and the other person shuts them off. And so you can tell they both want to break the ice, but neither of them are capable of doing it, right? Yeah. It's a little funny interplay.
So how you doing? Screw you. And then the other person that says screw you is like, all right, so how are you doing? What's you? And it's just back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really good. And also, the set design for the destroyed city of Boston, I thought was really cool, with those skyscrapers that are, it looks like something right after Superman and General Zod just got done fighting each other.
Yeah, it does.
But of course, it's 20 years later, so you got moss growing all over it.
And I'm really loving, just back to Ellie real quick, I'm loving her, just the way she's reacting to the outside. And because she's not seen things for so long, and now that she's actually walking around, and she's excited for a second when they're in this dilapidated area and they're running around and it's dangerous, but she's like, holy shit, I'm outside.
Yeah.
I just like her character a lot. What she's bringing, that actor alone is bringing a lot to what the character is.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss the actress that did Tess did a great job. So I looked her up, and I'm slipping on her name for a second. Let me put this up here.
And of course, she's British.
Yeah, they can always do her accent for some reason. Tess from The Last of Us is.
I could have looked that up for you, but apparently I can't send a text.
actress. Hold on.
By the way,
Anna Torv. So I looked her up. She is a beautiful woman. But that's one thing I love about the show is, a lot of time with network TV, you get a problem because they hire beautiful people, and even though they're supposed to be in this post-apocalyptic world, they make them up and make sure that you know that they're beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Anna Torv in this series, she's dirty, she's grungy, she's wearing baggy clothes, she's got a black eye, she's all beat up.
She's always beat up.
Yeah, you cannot tell that she's as beautiful as she is when you look her up on Google. And so I really appreciate that attention to detail in this show.
Sure.
Yeah, they didn't do that in Walking Dead. They made Maggie look really hot.
Yeah, exactly.
She should be much more dirty looking.
Yeah, she looks like she just got done working out. And you're like, oh, damn, girl.
Yeah, so I really appreciate that. So, once again, this show stays on the real fresh rating for me. What about you, Bobo?
I'm very real fresh right now. I'm feeling the same way about it as I was with Game of Thrones, in the sense that I'm looking forward to it every Sunday night. It's the one where it's 9 o'clock. At 9 o'clock, I'm literally in front of the
You should
TV.
see the size of my dick.
Whoa, easy. But do you know what I'm saying? In a world where we live on a streaming platform, we can watch things whenever we want.
Yeah.
This is a show that I'm looking forward to the 9 o'clock time, because that's the way HBO does it. It's at 9, here we go. And it's fun that way.
And that's the Mandalorian without the mask, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, Pedro, he's a baller. I said this from the beginning. One of the things I like about Pedro Pascal is that he is not acting to me. I believe the person on screen. He's just very real.
Yo, shouts to the makeup department. The way they aged him up looks incredibly natural.
Yes, it does.
You almost think that's his real age.
He looks worn down, dude.
Yeah.
He looks like he's been through some shit. When he drops that body into the fire at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
And it's just dang, dude, you literally you need some rest.
Yeah. Take a nap, homie.
Yeah. So they did.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the realistic approach. Is hey, it's doomsday, man. These people they're living in darkness.
So, and not to take away anything from me. Sorry, Andrew.
No, I was just saying that's a good approach. You can't make kind of like what you just touched on, Anshul. You can't make these people pretty, man. That's not what it's about.
Yeah,
it's about them living in dark times and surviving and zombies and whatnot. These characters should not.
You don't have toilets. You know how much. All right, listen, man. Real talk, okay? If you're going to give me a choice, you're listen, we're all about to get infected by this fungus. You can survive, but we're going to bomb the city, and you're not going to have your bidet anymore, and you have to walk around with mud butt. I'm going to just say bomb me.
Mud butt.
I am as pampered as they get these days, Holmes.
Yeah.
I mean, my asshole got to be clean at all times, so I'm not looking to be in post-apocalyptic.
So do you have an installed bidet?
Oh yeah, it's great. It's the greatest decision I made. I
have a friend of mine that does that too.
Yeah, listen, the toilet paper pandemic of 2020, where toilet paper was a scarcity. It was almost like we were living in
Last of Us. Yeah, no, it was
The Last of Us. I definitely the bidet paid off.
That's pretty bougie.
Well, no, look,
it costs $30.
It's logically way more cleanse. It's cleaner. It is. Yeah. You're not getting another piece of paper involved in something. This is just water.
Yeah.
I thought about you can buy them now and install on your toilet, no problem.
Yeah, it's $30, $40. Yeah, install it yourself.
So I thought about
super easy.
And it's
barely an inconvenience. Shouts to Screen Rant.
You make the noise when you say ooh.
Nah, man. Shit goes up my ass and feels just like it feels normal.
Normally, okay.
Yeah, it's right at home.
Like that girl's tongue, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
With that. All right.
A little road job will also get it clean for you.
Hey, easy. We're on YouTube.
Yeah, we're about to get demonetized big time with that last comment. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next. Shazam dropped their final trailer. Did you boys get to watch this?
I did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What were your thoughts?
I think it looks really good. I think they're trying to level it up a little bit more from the last movie, but it does feel like a Shazam movie,
I like this trailer. I do not have high hopes for this movie. With that being said, after watching this last trailer, I'm once again excited. Listen, I think they're going to run into the problem with DC, and I feel bad for them, is they're always constantly chasing Marvel's shadow, right? And they're having to do the same thing again, to where, unfortunately, the last Thor movie it kind of got us fatigued when it comes to superhero comedy, superhero humor. And that's a big part of what Shazam is. And so I'm just afraid that by the time we go into Shazam and he's got all these jokes, we're going to be sick of it and we're not going to enjoy the movie. With that being said, I enjoyed this last trailer because it seemed like it had some gravitas to it. Andrew, what were your thoughts? As Maniac said, zero interest in this shit. And now we're letting the four-letter words just fly. It's all on me, boys. Sorry about that.
I mean, I'm gonna see it because I'm a big Zachary Levi fan. I've liked him ever since Chuck, but I feel like it's a wasted film, dude. With everything, with the going the new direction they're going, it's just like this is the last of Shazam we're gonna see after you put all this money and this heart and soul into it, and we're not gonna see this character again. Is that what you're doing? Because you did that to Henry Cavill, Black Adam.
But yeah, he's tight with James Gunn.
You just don't know, like like if I don't know, man. Like again, I'm gonna see it just because, but I also feel like I'm also wondering, is this a waste of a film because you're not going to go anywhere with it?
No, I don't know that they're canceling Shazam.
Yeah, I think he's tight with James Gunn.
Yeah, I think they're just canceling the Justice League we know and starting.
Yeah, I agreed. And Bobo, you and I have talked about this before. So you guys know this because you guys are script writers, right? It's really delicate balance sometimes when you're writing things because as a viewer, when your viewer gets taken out of a movie, even with something minor, it can be something minor, right? But they get taken out of the movie and it can ruin the experience for the viewer. One thing that took me out of Shazam, even though I actually enjoyed the movie, if we had reviewed it at the time, I think I would have probably given it, a 7 or 8 because I did enjoy it.
And it's still in that rate for me. Right.
One of the things that took me out of the movie, though, was the fact that Shazam as an adult is way more dorky than the kid who was the cool kid.
Mm-hmm.
And, I always that weird dichotomy always stuck to me. I'm like, why is he a cool, calm, collected Daredevil type kid when he's young, and when he's an adult, he's this uber dork nerd?
With no sense of humor as the kid, he's not no sense of humor, but he acts more childish as Captain Marvel than he does as Billy Batson. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they shouldn't cast the kid that played Freddie Freeman as Billy because that kid's a natural nerdy dork, and it would have made more sense to have that consistency. Over. Yeah, I don't know. What'd you think, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, when I first watched Shazam, I thought that the better move was that the crippled kid got to become Shazam. Yeah. I thought that was where it was going. But when it comes to the whole Zachary Levi as Shazam is dorkier than the kid. I mean, I guess maybe that's a directorial thing because it's like a kid. He's still a kid inside this god's body, so he's got the personality of a kid who is now like so on cloud 9 that he's got this body and these powers that he's also really immature and. I don't know. I mean, I guess I can understand what you're saying, but I
would have seen a little bit of that, but I think and that part of this is because Zachary Levi is being Zachary Levi. And
sure.
That's what people want to see, but Zachary Levi is so over the top with it because once again, that's him, right? You should have had at least a kid level up his dorkiness a little bit more to not make it so egregious. There's such a gap between the two.
It doesn't seem like that kid in Shazam's body. It seems like another person. Like it. I agree with Anshul in the sense that, like, I also see what you're saying, Andrew, and maybe. He's just got this like, whoa, I'm a kid. I'm 16, but I can't believe I'm doing godlike stuff. But I think the way they portrayed Billy Batson in this, he would be more like, oh, all right, I got some cool stuff. Like that would be the way that kid would react.
Because that kid that becomes Shazam, it was his name Billy, right?
Billy Batson.
He doesn't seem to have that dorky personality. He's kind of a loner, and he's kind of he looks like he's got a little darkness to him as well because he's always trying to find his mom and he seems like an angry kid. So it is, now that you mentioned it, it is kind of interesting that he's got this really lively dorky personality when he becomes Shazam. It's like, well, that doesn't seem to be the same kid.
Yeah, and they borrowed from the New 52 run. But in the New 52 run, yes, Billy is now an angry kid as opposed to in the classic Shazam where he was just, the perfect child. Yeah. But that translates. When he turns into Shazam, he's a little bit angrier. He's a little bit darker version of Shazam, right? So
the New 52 Shazam was actually the first time we, outside of Kingdom Come, that we had seen Shazam be like, oh, damn, Shazam, rather than like a da-da-da.
Yeah, yeah.
And I want to bring this up real quick because as Maniac said, Andrew is right. He's saying it's like Tom Hanks and Big. I see what you're saying, but what we were just saying is that we just don't think that kid of Billy Batson's character as he was being portrayed would be that excited about getting the powers. He
Tom
would
Hanks kid in Big. Tom Hanks kid in Big is a loser dork.
Right.
So
and
when
translates.
When he's a dork and as an adult, it makes sense, right? So
here's
I agree. And by the way, when Andrew said the crippled kid, for those of you that are about to cancel us, he didn't mean crippled. He meant bipedally challenged. Okay.
Yes.
So
no, I mean,
just
you're not supposed to say that anymore.
I don't know. Are you? I actually don't really know. I'm just being careful.
Well, now you're not supposed to say anything anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, but on another comparison, like with Spider-Man 3, remember when Tobey Maguire, he gets the Venom, he gets the symbiote.
Mm-hmm.
The only, like, I liked him walking down the street. I liked him doing because that's what the dork Peter Parker would think is cool. I didn't like the scene of him skating around.
Here's the thing: the Peter Parker everybody loves is not the dork Peter Parker. The Peter Parker that people rage about that they want is the Peter Parker that got a bunch of chicks that he could never hook up with because Spider-Man always cockblocked him, right?
No.
But that Peter Parker. Yeah, he was a scientist and he was a bit of a nerd, but he was also a chick magnet. That's the Peter Parker that everybody loves.
But what I'm saying is that. And the Peter Parker in Spider-Man 1 wasn't a chick magnet, and he was a nerd, and he laughed at nerdy things as Peter Parker. And so if he was all of a sudden kind of feeling cool, he would be like, "Oh, chick,
okay, I got you."
I don't like. Hey, I just don't like when he's swinging around in the jazz club and doing all that. That's stupid. I would if they would have just kept him walking down the street being like, because he's like, "Oh yeah," because he just thinks he's being cool. That makes sense. It's the swinging around the restaurant I didn't like.
By the way, Esmac, apparently, like you, is racist towards animation. And you guys both refuse to acknowledge the truth. That I think everybody knows that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is the superior Spider-Man movie.
What do you think?
That's a cop-out.
No, it's way better. It's the only true. Listen, I'm going to go ahead and use Derpy's argument. You guys truly aren't Spider-Man fans, because if you were Spider-Man fans, you would understand no movie has gotten Spider-Man more than Into the
Do you own Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse?
I don't own any movies.
Oh, I own it. I own it on Blu-ray, so I'm not a Spider-Man fan.
I mean, that's literally like saying an animated movie is your favorite movie of all time. No, you would not say that.
I didn't say that though. I said it's my favorite Spider-Man movie of all time.
But it's the same thing. And
also, I think Batman Mask of the Phantasm is, as far as true Batman portrayal, the most true Batman portrayal.
It's a good story. Doesn't make it the best movie,
but it's the most true Batman portrayal
of a story. That doesn't mean they got the movie part right. It's still
you don't like Mask of the Phantasm as a movie?
I love the story, and we've already talked about
animators. I got you. I understand how hard you work, animators. I appreciate your talent. Bobby, who apparently is an amazing artist, does not appreciate. Dude, I can't even draw a stick figure, but I understand.
I appreciate how hard people worked on engines back in the day, and we don't have to run them. We don't have to start them in the front with a actual handle anymore. No, we've advanced.
Yeah, but listen, people like classic cars, though. I don't understand the argument. But okay, let's go ahead and move on, though. We'll do another video based on this. Let's move on because this is a good segue.
I love how we just stop when Anshul wants to stop. You know?
Yeah, listen. Ray, because I know you're about to start going off when this argument's not going to.
Because it's 2 against 1 right now, and you can't handle it.
I can handle it, buddy.
It's 3 against 1 actually with Esmania.
Do we really have to do this for 40 minutes? Rage against the Marvel Machine. Let's move on to the next story. Okay, Rage against the Marvel Machine. Now I'm really just doing it. I'm really just doing it for time. And also because I hit the banner button. If I had hit the banner button, we might have gone longer. But let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so Rage Against the Marvel Machine. Listen, first it was Scorsese. You got the ball rolling, and now we know you Hollywood types always love to follow each other. And so now more and more people are coming out against Marvel movies, and I just don't understand what all the hubbub is about. So let's start with the Birdman director. Okay, what's his face? What's this guy's name?
Alejandro Irinatu, and I can't ever say the
Gonzalez.
Irinatu, which Birdman is one of the most brilliant pieces of movie magic I've ever seen.
Agreed. Here's what he had to say about Marvel movies, though. And I got this. I believe he spoke to Variety. And I'll double check that. But I'm sorry, per Joe Blow. Okay. So he spoke against Marvel movies, securing his place alongside the likes of Martin Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola, Quentin Tarantino, and on, at a recent event in Naruto took the chance to bash superhero movies, wondering if they're necessary. I see heroes every day. I see beautiful people really going through very difficult situations and doing incredible things, and that is the people that I kind of connect with. But these kind of superpower heroes, really, do we need that? He added. If you need that, is there something missing? Instead of admiring what we have, the possibilities that we have, many of the elements that define cinema, God, I hate that term, as I know it, are there in Marvel Pictures. What's not there is revelation, mystery, and general emotion, danger. Nothing is at risk. Okay, guys?
I agree with him as far as now. Okay. I don't agree with him in all of it. Like, I don't think that as a blanket statement for all superhero films. I think that's where we are now with the way they're being mass produced so fast that, yeah, you can't mass produce anything like that and really get that core emotion and actual solid package you need if you're just like, all right, well, we greenlit it right now and it's got to be out in 9 months. You know, and that's just what they're a machine now. And I agree with it now, but I don't agree with it. Like, up until Endgame, those were moving, emotional, stakes driven stories.
Andrew, what are your thoughts before I go on mine?
I agree with every single word that he said. That being said, I have to agree with Bobby to an extent. Like, the very first Iron Man, that had grit, that had emotion, that had danger, and that was what was so compelling and so great about that movie, and why it that's why it's turned into what it is now, which is exactly what this director is pointing out. But yeah, I mean, you're talking about great filmmakers, man. These guys have won Oscars for directors for directing. They know cinema. They know for them it's more about storytelling and connecting with regular people, not a blockbuster movie with superpowers and explosions and spectacle, and that's supposed to make you leave the theater and want to change your life, you know. Right. And that's I mean, I absolutely agree with that.
But not every movie is trying to do that.
Yeah, so that's my thing, is why can't we just let people like different things? Yeah. Why do we have to speak out against everything, right? Why can't you just recognize that there's a large portion of the audience that likes superhero movies and let them enjoy them? And I think I know why. Listen, you're mad because you're probably not getting movie money from financiers anymore because they all want to throw money at superhero flicks. And that sucks. But instead of yelling at the audience and telling them, you don't know what you're talking about, you don't know cinema, get your act together, why don't you just make movies that people love and that financiers will want to finance?
Or just
that's on you, homie. Like, I understand you're a brilliant filmmaker, but if you can't get the money for your movie, don't yell at me because I like superhero movies and tell me I'm an idiot. Why don't you just go make something that people want to finance? If you can't do that, that's not my problem. You know?
But I don't think that I don't know this for a fact. All these directors, by the way, I love, that have come out and sort of started bashing on the superhero genre. I love them as directors, but I don't think that they're having any trouble making movies. So just stay in your lane, and make your movies. And nobody's telling you can't do it. And let me just say this, nobody's coming out and saying that your movies aren't cinema. You know, like, this is just an opinion. Now, do I think that the Marvel machine has become more of a machine than actually making quality movies at the moment? I do feel that way, but I'm also agreeing with you, Anshul, that people should be able to like what they want. It is a free country, and if you're not hurting anybody, that's fine. And again, I know that when the next Martin Scorsese movie's announced, that I'm going to be in line for it. I know that when the next Alejandro movie's announced, I'm going to be in line for it. So it's not taking away from them from what I'm watching.
I don't think that these guys are at all saying to shut these movies down. I think they're just commenting on how this is on how what movie making has turned into. Is if it's not a superhero movie, then studios don't want a part of it, and it's and that is where the frustration's coming with these.
Listen, I get why Alejandro is frustrated, but at the same time, hey, it is what it is. Like, I mean,
Scorsese's the one that said the bad thing about, like, basically not saying they don't deserve to be called cinema. I mean, he said that. That's wrong.
Yeah, I do think Alejandro's comments were a little bit softer because he said, "Hey, yeah, listen, they got elements of cinema. I just, think they're garbage," is essentially what he's saying. But at the end of the day, who cares? There's an audience for it, and that's the problem. That's what you're mad at, is people want to watch that. People are paying money to watch it. And so, of course, if you're a financier, Like, yeah, it's easy to say, hey, listen, you guys should finance our movies, finance real art, when you're not the one putting up the money. Andrew, if you and I were putting a lot of money into a project, we want to get a return on our money, you got a choice between a Marvel movie or an Alejandro movie, and you're putting out a significant amount of cash, you're probably going to go with the Marvel movie because you're probably going to be more confident you get your money back and make a profit, right? That just is what it is. That's the reality of the game.
If I've got enough money to invest in that I'm making my own movie.
That's true.
Right, but once again, that's not the hypothetical. Mister, I want to break the hypothetical. Yeah, listen.
But again, you guys with your what y'all are saying about, can't you just let people like what they like? Well, you're talking to filmmakers, and you're asking these filmmakers to not voice their opinion about where they see cinema going, and they don't like it.
I think you can do it in a way without bashing on somebody.
Yeah. You don't have to attack Marvel. You can say, hey, like, listen.
You can just make your movies.
Yeah.
Do that by being an artist.
Well, maybe what they should have done is just redirect that to the studios. Like, hey, studios, stop.
That's fine.
Because I don't.
But here's my answer.
It isn't fair to lay it on the directors that Marvel is hiring. That's not where it should be directed. It should be directed at the studios. Like, hey,
agreed. But here's the thing:
did you guys see that after one weekend of Black Adam, it was kind of a dud? Like that, it's now we're at the point now where everybody's seen the song and dance before already. So how about we pump the brakes on these superheroes and focus on real stories that can connect people around the world?
Yeah, listen, I get that. Like, if you're speaking to me in the studio and you're like, hey, listen, look at Black Adam, it was a bomb. I think there's a fatigue. That's a different conversation. And if that was a conversation, then yeah, I'd say that. But essentially what they're doing is, once again, you're yelling at the directors who are taking the jobs, who are taking the money. Why? That's not your place to put yourself in their pocket. You're way out of pocket for doing that. And you're yelling at the fans who like the movies. Make something they like more, and the fans will come watch you, right? Or wait till they get sick of the Marvel movies and they'll come back and watch you again. Don't yell at people for stuff that's frankly not their fault, right?
Yeah. But I mean, you also got some of these movies or shows coming out now that they're blatantly making fun of their own fan base. Like like She-Hulk was making fun of people like us.
Yeah, that's why the fan base.
That was not a smart.
Yeah,
thing.
ultimately, people will speak. Like, listen. If there is truly superhero fatigue, which we all kind of feel, they'll stop making money, and eventually they'll stop getting money. Let that happen, right? One guy that's not letting it happen, though, is kind of continuing on the same train. Alejandro was not the only person that came out against Marvel movies. Steven Dorff, of all people. Per the Daily Beast, Marvel is used to me trashing them anyway. How's that PG Blade movie going for you?
All right, I got to say, that's a hilarious comment.
That is a great comment, and he's absolutely right.
Hold on, let me finish the comment. How's that PG Blade movie going for you that can't get a director? Laughs. Because anybody who is there is going to be laughed at by everyone, because we already did it and made it the best. There's no Steve Norrington out there this is per Screen Rant. This is not the first time he's gone against Marvel. He dismissed Scarlett Johansson's solo Marvel outing as something that looked like a bad video game. He also said he was embarrassed for Scarlett Johansson and the film's other stars. And then he kind of walked that back a little bit and said, hey, yeah, we're buddies. I didn't really mean it like that. But then now he's just doubled down on these comments. I got some hot sports opinions on Steven Dorff. I know you guys agree with them, so I'm going to go first. Like, you guys remember that Entourage episode where they made fun of Steven Dorff?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where they talked about Steven Dorff will sink a movie faster.
Yeah, Shauna was, she's like, hey, shut up, asshole. That's my client.
Yeah, the line that he'll stick. Let me tell you something about how bad Steven Dorff can sink something. You guys remember when he was doing, most of us, the last thing we've seen him is e-cigarette commercials? Okay? Now e-cigarettes are illegal. That's how bad Steven Dorff can sink a property, all right? He ruined the tobacco industry. Like, that's impossible to do. That's how bad Steven Dorff is. And so, I mean, listen, this just sounds like sour grapes. It sounds like sour grapes for me. Like he's not saying, hey, you're right, the PG Blade movie isn't going too well and may not be a hot property, but you tap the brakes on saying it doesn't stand up to what you did when we all know you were the weakest part of that movie. You know?
Well, I don't know if he's the weakest part of the movie, because I like Deacon Frost and his portrayal of Deacon Frost.
Yeah,
but
I was gonna say the same thing.
But I do think that you just don't need to come out there with hate like that, man. Like, I'm surprised that Ethan Hawke got hired in Moon Knight, but because of before Moon Knight, somebody was asking him about Marvel movies, and you know what he said? He's like, "Nah, I hold out for the good roles." And then he actually goes and does Moon Knight. So
yeah, he's really just holding about a paycheck. I don't blame you, Steven. Hey, that's way to get paid, you know.
But look, you just need to like. I understand it is a competitive business, and at the end of the day, if you're in business and there's other companies, you're in competition. But it's not like wrestling or pro sports where you actually have to rev everybody up and you need to get on this side or this side. It should just be an artistic world where everybody can like it, because country music and R&B are two different things. Not anymore, but they used to be two different things, and people could still enjoy them, and some people enjoyed both. So I think that while I like a lot of stuff that Stephen Dorff is in, for him to say all that kind of stuff and say that you're embarrassed for someone for making a movie choice, I mean, that's harsh words, man.
I mean, that's a little harsh, but I mean, these people are not hurting in the industry. They're going Stephen Dorff, despite what you might think about him, he's not somebody who's not going to get work. And I think that's we're seeing these actors who have been in the business for decades upon decades, having opinions about where the state of things, and this is going to happen, and I don't think they're in any danger of their careers suddenly going kersplat just because he's talking shit about Marvel or this or that.
Let me ask you this.
I do think it's harsh for him to say that, but I stand by his comment about the how's that PG blade going? It doesn't that a PG blade should not exist.
Yeah, but then he says, "No need to do it again because we did it the best." I mean, that's kind of
that's where I lost him. And let me ask you this, okay? You're Mahershala Ali. You're in charge of that PG blade project. The last time people saw Stephen Dorff, you were dragging his, cancer lung-filled ass through True Detective,
which was that performance. Comeback. That was a great comeback.
He was all right.
Role for
he was all right. Let's be honest. Mahershala Ali was the standout in that role.
Well, of course he was, man. I'm just saying that was a great role for Stephen Dorff to come.
Okay, but if you're Mahershala Ali, don't you feel some type of way about your homeboy that you just work with trashing your vehicle that you're trying to get off the ground? That's your passion project with Marvel.
True. Well, for all we know, they don't talk. For all we know for all we know, they are friends, and he doesn't give a shit what he says. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's just poor behavior, man. Like, I wouldn't want to work with people just talking shit about me like that.
Yeah, and my project that I'm trying to get off the ground, like you're not being a friend. If I'm trying to get this project off the ground, I need a swelling of ground support with fans, and you're out here bashing it. Fuck you, man. What are you doing?
I just but we're thinking that I'm not condoning it, but we don't know what their relationship is like. For all we know, Mahershala Ali doesn't care.
If you and I are fighting in real life, the last thing I'm going to go do is talk shit about you to the public.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Stephen Dorff, we're talking about Stephen Dorff. He's never been a good guy. He's been reputed asshole. That's the reason he's not getting roles. Because I make the jokes about him being untalented. He is talented, right? If I'm going to be real, I just want to take some shots. But the reason you don't get roles is because nobody likes you. And the reason people don't like you is because of stuff like this. So maybe if you want to keep having a career, why don't you just keep your mouth shut for once, Yeah,
but again, I don't think he's worried about his career at this point in his life. Hence why he's having a mouth on him.
Yeah, I mean, it stopped him before. It also stopped his career before. So he could just be a guy that runs his mouth. But all right, we'll agree to disagree. I know you're an actor, so you've got a different perspective than I do. And so I'm just a fan, right, at the end of the day. You guys are too sensitive to the subject. It's part of his attitude. I dog and everything. Well, yeah, you might be. Listen, he's always trying to be that guy he was from the 90s. Doesn't really, he's 75 years old now or whatever. But once again, we can all agree to disagree. I do respect your perspective, though, Andrew, as somebody who's in the industry. But I'm looking at it from a fan perspective, and it's like, yo, man, why you need to bring this negative energy? Why can't you just let me like my thing? Why can't you just let me be in my lane? And so that's what the perspective I'm looking at from.
Well, and for me, it's just it was the biggest thing, and I'll move on, was him saying that we did it best, and then also saying that he's embarrassed for his friends. It's just kind of.
When we talked about Tobey Maguire and Emo Spider-Man, it's funny you brought that up because that's the banner I put up for this next story. Tobey Maguire, during a Spider-Man special that's going to be airing, I believe, on Disney Plus, says he would love to come back to do more. I love these films, and I love all the different series. If these guys called me and said, would you show up tonight to hang out and goof around, or would you show up to do this movie or read a scene or do a Spider-Man thing, it would be yes, because why wouldn't I do that? Also, nobody has validated the rumor that immediately after that he said, and these paychecks are lit, Holmes, so of course I would do it again.
He said that?
No, he didn't. I may have decided that.
I was about to say that's so Grandpa Spider-Man-ish.
Yeah.
These paychecks are lit, Holmes.
So yeah, what do you guys think about Tobey Maguire potentially coming back for more Spider-Man? Bobo did not like his cameo, right? In Spider-Man movie.
I didn't like his entrance.
Okay.
No, I loved it once that like their banter when they were in the lab and stuff like that, and when they're up on the tower and they're that's great. It's like you see Andrew Garfield, he's like in the alley and he turns around and he looks in the back and he's like, oh shit, and he starts walking towards. It's like, oh, okay, I believe that. And then it's like time for Tobey Maguire and it's just like pull back the curtain, cue music, and he just like steps through and it just
it was a little forced.
Everybody starts clapping and
like my theater went crazy.
I never understood why they didn't have at least one of them look at the weird magic opening and kind of be like, what in the hell is that thing? Like why were they not more freaked out about what's happening?
Right.
Well,
especially when they see this circular spirally thing open up to
because Ned's magic now, man. It just happened, right?
Ned's magic, and
not in their world though.
Well, no, that's the thing. They weren't in their world. They were brought to they were already in our world, roaming around.
His cameo was wasted. He was like the Fonz at the entrance. Ironically, by the end of the Fonz's run on Happy Days, they were about the same age, so it makes sense, right?
Wasn't Fonz like already 15 years old?
Yeah, he was like in his 50s playing the Fonz. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
And Henry Winkler's going to live longer than anyone.
Yeah. He's the new Betty White.
No kidding. He's still witty and everything. But
well, so Tobey Maguire's just saying that he would like to be Peter Parker again. I don't know that that's happening. I know Andrew Garfield is
potentially into the Spider-Verse too, so they can keep going on with the greatest Spider-Man movie of all time. He's probably going to be doing a kind of cameo in that.
For somebody that loves it, they keep on calling it Into the Spider-Verse 2 when it's called Across the Spider-Verse, just to
but I'm also using the title that most people would be familiar with.
Oh, okay.
Well, this next story is something that I know is going to be near and dear to both my co-hosts here. Chainsaw Massacre. And let me go and get this banner
Chainsaw Awards, the Fangoria.
but I've got the Chainsaw Film Massacre as the banner. For the Chainsaw Horror Awards, the nominations are out. Guys, did you get a chance to look at this list?
Yeah, Lake Court's on there, baby.
Yeah, can you believe it? No, I looked at some of the lists, and one of the ones that I was surprised that actually made it was Nope.
Yeah. I thought there were parts of Nope that were terrifying, right? Of course, that's a tricky thing about Jordan Peele movies is they're social commentary dressed up as horror films. They're not really horror films, right?
Right.
Social commentary films. I don't know. You guys have a different perspective on that, maybe because
they are
filmmakers.
I think they're horrific in certain ways. I think the most horrific one so far is still Get Out. But this one definitely had its social commentary, but it also had sort of the E.T. Jaws vibe going. But I just am surprised that Fangoria Chainsaw Awards put Nope in there.
Well, let's go down some of the more interesting categories. Let's start with,
in my opinion, it doesn't really fall under the category of like a Jason.
Yeah,
if you guys got a chance to look at the categories, let's go over them because the categories do make a little sense, right? There's a best wide release movie, okay, and the list from those: Barbarian, The Black Phone, Nope, Pearl, and X.
Pearl and X, Pearl is a prequel to X. I think that's awesome that both of those got in there because they came out within the same year of each other.
Which one do you guys like to win that award?
I would like X or Pearl too, just because of the independent style and how well it's done, and just the way you get involved in Ty West's films. What was the other one? I didn't like Barbarian. I was disappointed.
Black Phone.
Black Phone was good. Black Phone was good. Black Phone's a good story. Black Phone's something I think that will 20 years from now still stand the test of time because it's like a solid story. But as far as Pearl and X, it's just got this 70s vibe with X, and then Pearl literally looks like color vision from the 1920s.
Oh, yeah, it's brilliant. It's
so
brilliantly
awesome.
done, man. I mean, there's literally parts of it where it's like Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, but it's horror. It's hard to explain until you see it.
Yeah. Andrew, which one do you think will win that award?
What's the list again?
So we got Barbarian, The Black Phone, Nope, Pearl, and X. This is the best wide release movie.
Is Pearl and X supposed to be like a combo, or is it separate?
No, it's two separate movies.
That's tough, man, on those.
I would definitely like it to be X or Pearl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go to best limited release movie. Orphan First Kill. So my old co-host on my old channel, Cleasy, did a video on this. I still gotta check out this Orphan First Kill.
I did a review of it.
Did you? Okay, yeah, go check out. Baba, we'll link some of these reviews for some of these movies. Maybe when we post this back up, either here, or here, somewhere. Orphan First Kill. We'll link a review up there. Resurrection, Something in the Dirt, Terrifier 2, also going to be linking a review, and Mad God. Out of this category, which one of these films do you guys like the best?
Terrifier 2 for me. That's straight up. That's
you
easy.
love that movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Andrew?
I haven't seen any of those movies, so I'm gonna just agree with what Bobby says.
Okay. We'll only do a couple more categories here, and then we'll kind of move it along. Best streaming premiere movie, Fresh, Hellbender, Hellraiser, Prey, A Wounded Fawn.
Prey.
Yeah,
for me, it's between Prey and Fresh. It's between those two. Fresh had Sebastian Stan and Daisy Edgar Jones. Really cool, clever little horror film. But Prey, being in the Predator franchise and us not having a good Predator movie for a while, it'd probably have to be Prey.
And Prey, I mean, Prey broke streaming records when that was came out.
I haven't talked to anybody who didn't like Prey.
Yeah, I agree. Prey was great. Prey was, well, my old co-host didn't like it, but they didn't like it because the little girl beat up the Predator. And honestly,
if you knew Cleasy too, it's just funny to hear him. Like
Cleasy's a big bad guy. He was spoiled by Darth Vader and Darth Vader's invincibility in the first couple Star Wars films. And then he also watched a lot of Chinese cinema, and Chinese protagonists and antagonists are always invincible until the showdown, until the end. And so he's always got that in the back of his mind whenever looking at protagonists or antagonists. So if they take an L in a way that he does not appreciate, he's automatically out of the film.
Yeah, it's funny to hear him too, because he's like, man, no.
This is how much you know. By the way, we've been fighting too much on this this particular stream, because now we got a comment section trying to pick fights for each other. Guys, it's all love between Andrew, Bobby, and I. Yeah, I still love these guys. We can disagree on time to time. Let's all get along.
Yeah, the other day, but we get heated, but we do all love each other.
Oh,
yeah. Like I said, at the end of the day, I told Andrew specifically, of course, I respect his opinion. He does. He's an actor. He's in the dirt, and I can't ever ignore that experience. I just have different opinions from a fan perspective. But at the end of the day, it's all love.
Well, and that's what we want.
Yeah.
We don't want anyone to just start agreeing with us all the time. Like, if you feel differently, we want you to chime in, because that's what makes for good conversation.
I mean, look, I am an actor, but I'm not in Hollywood per se. I've got a lot of friends who have essentially made it.
Mm-hmm.
But my training over the last 20 years as an actor has really given me that's the perspective that I come from.
Yeah, and that's something I don't have. Like my brother he's in films and stuff occasionally, but even then he's more a comedian first before an actor, right? So that's just a perspective I don't have those experiences, and so I'm going to see it differently. But that's okay, because you need multiple experiences. You need multiple viewpoints. And I think that's the problem with the way the world has become this echo chamber online, where you can just team up with people and socialize with people who agree with you, is you've lost that nuance of having different viewpoints.
Yeah.
And you don't have to always agree with them. You can, maybe sometimes it's 100 different viewpoints are shared and only you take one thing from it, but that expands your horizons, right?
Diversity of thought is how you make progress.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Best streaming premiere movie, Fresh. Did we just do this?
We just did that one, yeah.
Yeah. Best lead performance, Anna Diop, Nanny, Isabella Furman, Orphan First Kill, Mia Goth, Pearl, Rebecca Hall, Resurrection, Daniel Kaluuya, Nope, Amy Mindhunter, Prey,
that's
Monroe,
that's Mia Goth for Pearl, easy for me.
Mia Goth.
Even over Prey, huh?
Even if you see her
performance. Well, what about Keke Palmer and Nope? Keke Palmer was great in Nope.
She was good, but you got to see what Mia Goth does in Pearl. Like it's until you see it. Like, there's just one scene where at the very end of the movie, the credits are going up and she's staring at the screen, smiling the entire time, and she's crying.
Yeah, she's crying.
Like, tears are just
streaming down her face as she's smiling. It's the creepiest thing.
Yeah, she does all kinds of stuff in that movie.
And knowing as an actor how difficult that is, and as a filmmaker as well. What they did there was no cutting. I mean, dude,
and nobody's like,
I wish you guys had let me go through this list, because this last one you're gonna love, Bobo. Taylor Russell from Bones and all was also.
Oh, hang on a second, I got something for that one.
Yeah. Actually, Taylor Russell, she gave a good performance.
Look, her and Timothy both did a good performance, but the movie was a misfire.
Yeah, I still can't believe this is what bothers me about critics is they've got certain movies that they all seem. It's like they have this secret society of critics, and they're like, "Hey, listen, we got to give love to this movie," and they just try to force a movie onto the general public. That sucks.
Or in romance.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it a good movie.
That's been done before.
Yeah. A coming of age cannibal movie. That's what we need. Get the fuck out of here, man.
Yeah. that's the best part of that movie is when we were in there and they started to eat one of the people, and Anshul just goes, and everybody can hear it. Anshul just goes, "Dinner is served."
Yeah, there's some little girl next to me that clearly only went to this movie because Timothy Chalamet was in it, and she just looked at me with like this disappointed look on her. And she wasn't completely mad at me; she was also just completely mad that she's having to watch this. Yeah, exactly. We'll move through a couple of quick categories here, and then we'll move on to the next story. But there might be some stuff since I've got two horror experts on the stream with me that you guys can talk about. Best supporting performance: Jamie Clayton from Hellraiser, Ethan Hawke, The Black Phone, Just Along the Barbarian, Madeline McGraw, The Black Phone, Jenna Ortega, Scream, Mark Rylance, Bones and All, Rachel Sennott, Bodies, 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 Brittany Snow, X, Kristen Stewart, Crimes of the Future, Stephen Yeun, Nope. Okay, first of all, just get the whale or the elephant, out of the room. Mark Rylance was also good in Bones and All. He was really creepy in that movie. The creepy old man with the ponytail. Yeah. I'm going to say right off, though, that Sonette, is it Rachel from Bodies, Bodies, Bodies? Yeah. She's hilarious. And she was hilarious in that movie. And I just loved her in that. She brought something to the movie that made it like another level. I thought that she was really great. But what was the first one you said? Okay, let's go over this. Jamie Clayton, Hellraiser, Ethan Hawke, The Black Phone. Ethan Hawke. Okay. What about Stephen Yeun and Nope, though? That was a damn good performance. He did a good performance and everything, but I just like the other ones better. Yeah, I haven't seen all of them, so I'll definitely.
This is for supporting?
Yeah. Kristen Stewart also in Crimes of the Future. And Jenna Ortega, I feel like they just threw her in because of Wednesday. Was it for Wednesday or for Scream? It's for Scream, but I feel like there's taking. She's a big part of Scream, though. But.
I enjoyed seeing that other side of Ethan Hawke. He doesn't really play villains very much, and he was damn good. So I wouldn't be disappointed if he won it. But I also I enjoyed Brittany Snow and X. She finally got topless.
Oh yes. She was nominated for that?
Yeah.
Oh, then maybe her.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, that's a very shallow reason to give an award, but I'm for it. I'm about it. I'm about that life.
She did a good job. I just didn't know she was nominated.
Okay, so let me give you guys a choice of categories, and we'll see what you guys want to talk about, and we'll go over that, or maybe we'll move on. We have left.
Hang on. As he said, he's in the bath still watching. Look at that Rocky picture right there. We're talking about the Chainsaw Awards.
Yeah, we got Best Director, Best Screenplay, Best Cinematography, and Best Costume Design. Which one of those do you guys want to talk about?
You said Best Director?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do that one.
Okay, Zach Kreger, Barbarian, David Cronenberg, Crimes of the Future, Chole Okono, Watcher, Jordan Peele, Nope, Ty West, X.
Ty West, baby.
Ty West.
Ty West.
You heard it here first, folks. Go to Vegas and put the money down on the odds. The winners have just been announced. You don't even know it.
And which, by the way, X came out and they shot concurrently with that Pearl, which is a prequel. And then when we went and saw Pearl, at the very end, they showed a trailer for Maxine, which Pearl took place in the 30s, X took place in the 70s, Maxine takes place in the 80s, and it's all based around all one story kind of.
Makes sense because those are all names that grandmas would have.
Yeah. And knowing the creative process, the process of the filming process of what Ty West is doing with this little trilogy, knowing all that alone, I got to give it to him.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a feat.
Excellent analysis from our two experts in the field. You don't think they're experts? Wait till their movie drops and you'll know what's going down. You'll know what's up.
Oh, yes.
All right, speaking of experts, Iger the Tiger cutting the fat. So when Bob Iger took over, there was a lot of excitement in Disney, and that excitement has now turned into trepidation because the dreaded words, for anybody that's ever worked for a company, I've worked for a couple of Fortune 500 companies and been a good producer, but as everybody that works for those companies knows, sometimes your future's out of your hands. And one of the dreaded words that can cause you a lot of anxiety is restructuring. And that's what's going to be going down.
Reorganizing.
Disney. Yep. Reorganizing, restructuring. This is per deadline. Rumblings of a new organizational chart unveiling are growing louder amid mounting pressure of the company, including from activist investor Nelson Peltz, to stage a rebound with Iger back in controls. Details on the restructuring movies, which could potentially include some sort of consolidation within the company's marketing operations as well as the Disney television studios, are likely to emerge soon and can coincide with the company's next quarterly earnings report, February 8th, sources tell Deadline, which makes me think that they are worried that the earnings are not going to be up to par. And that's always a big deal when you have those investor calls. If the earnings are not where you need them to be, now that we have a lot of laymen that are investing, sometimes they get scared off of those earnings reports and sell a lot of stock, and they can cause a little bit of a dip in the stock price, and you don't want that. So this may be kind of in advance to that kind of a response to try to kind of quell investor fears for that. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on the reorganization? Do you think it'll affect any plans for Disney in the future?
Yeah, I think it'll make Disney back on track. And I think if you work for Disney, it might be a little sticky for you. And it might be, oh, nobody likes change when you're used to your, routine in your job. It always sucks when you got to change things up. However, I do think Disney expanded and grew way too big, way too fast under the regime of Chapek. And I think that Iger has gotten Disney to a great spot before. Him and Feige had a great working relationship, a great mutual respect. I think for the fans that pay for Disney Plus weekly or monthly and want to go see good movies from Disney, I think it will really benefit. But if you work for Disney, it might be a little stressful.
Yeah, and just kind of piggyback on what you said there, Bobo, it does suck for the people that work there because remember, Bob Chapek, he gets to leave with a $21 million salary, probably a little $4 million golden parachute. Mm-hmm. The people that are going to be affected by this reorganization chart may get 2 weeks' pay, right? Mm-hmm. And they're going to be out of a job. And so, that's a lot of anxiety. And like I said, I've been there, so I don't envy those people because when they start working for Disney, they probably thought they were in track for a long career with a great company that they love. And now all of a sudden, you got CEO battles up top. And this is very, very commonplace. A lot of our viewers can relate to this. And now all of a sudden their future's in doubt. So
I feel Chapek expanded too fast and created a lot of these jobs.
And that's generally what happens. Yeah. And you're right. It does suck. And it makes sense from a business perspective. But think about the people that got hired in that expansion. Sure. They had no control over that. And now all of a sudden their ability to feed their children is now in jeopardy, right? So, sure. Andrew, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think it's going to be a change that's going to be for the betterment of Disney. I mean, they've lost a lot of money and their stocks are down. I think they're going to part ways with ESPN. That's just me thinking that's something that they could potentially see themselves as, we don't.
But ESPN's got NFL rights. NFL rights are a lot of money from advertising revenue, so I don't really see that happening right now. If ESPN ever lost those NFL rights, you're right, because ESPN is now it's a dinosaur. We get sports highlights online. We don't need Sports Center anymore, right?
Right.
But those NFL rights make a lot of money.
I don't think. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think Disney needs any ownership of ESPN.
They don't. I think that they're dipping their toe into a pool they don't really need to be in personally.
Yeah, but once again, I mean, with the NFL and all that revenue there, I doubt if you're right. Majority of the time, that's fat, but like that's just a lot of money that they would not cut.
But there's something weird going on with sports and the way they're on broadcast right now with, I think it's called Bally Sports Network.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's for like hockey and basketball, right?
There's a huge thing with that going over right now that's affecting a lot of things. Like they're apparently like really, really in the red.
So I was affected by this, right? I have YouTube TV, and I know we're getting way off topic. We're talking, but it's still entertainment, right? Yeah. I have YouTube TV, so I love the Mavericks. I'm a huge basketball fan. The way rights were negotiated in the past with local sports teams in basketball and hockey was they had some sort of local affiliate. They negotiated those rights. And they paid a lot of money for those. And then that was formerly Fox Sports, right? Fox Sports had a bunch of regional networks. Right. Well, they got bought out by Sinclair Sports Group, a.k.a. Bally. Sinclair Sports Group also owns a bunch of casinos. So they saw a real potential for when, at the time, everybody knew gambling was about to be legalized in several states. They saw a real potential for extra revenue by having sports and having gambling on their own same platform. And they got really aggressive in negotiating with a lot of these streaming TV services, YouTube, Fubo. They were demanding a lot of money from these services to carry their sports channels, thinking that there's still, it's still like negotiating with cable companies, good old boy network. Hey, hey, listen, we're going to charge you a bunch, but you just go ahead and charge the customers a bunch, and we scratch your back, you scratch ours, and screw the customers. Who cares, right? That was the old mindset. YouTube and Fubo were like, nah, this is a competitive marketplace. This is cord-cutting marketplace. We can't afford to piss off our customers, so thanks, no thanks. They just dropped and stopped carrying the sports. Bally's in response said, hey, no problem, fam. We're just going to release our own app. No biggie. Problem is, it takes a lot of money and time to develop an app, and it took them 2 years to develop the app. Not only did they spend a lot of money in R&D developing the app, they lost several $1 billion of potential revenue by not having those streaming services carry their products, right?
Basically.
Yeah. And so I believe in the last 2 years, they lost $1 billion each year in revenue, down from 3 years prior. And now they're potentially having to go file bankruptcy.
Yeah, they're in a situation where they can't climb back up.
Right.
Well, I was just talking about Disney owning ESPN and all that. I wasn't, we are in an ever-changing world with the way we watch sports. And I think that, it's that's a hard area for Disney to cover, when you have a lot of things that are based on revenue with home teams. Think about, back in the day before there was any streaming or anything like that, you watched whatever game was on your channel, and most of the time it was a local team.
Yep.
Or maybe there was some major game going on because it was playoffs. But other than that, you can be a fan of whatever team you want to be.
Yeah. And you got a lot of like local sports fans for kids. Like I got 2 cousins, they've got their favorite player, and they're not local players, right? For basketball. One of them loves Derrick Rose. And so whatever team Derrick Rose is on, that's who he roots for. And the other one loves Kawhi Leonard. Huh?
He's still playing?
He is. Yeah, he is. He's a backup player. But, I mean, the kid just loved I think it was one of the first basketball players he ever knew when it came to his stream of consciousness, and so that's why he loves Derrick Rose.
He just has an attachment to it, yeah.
Yeah, and then the other one loves Kawhi Leonard. That's obvious. Kawhi Leonard's still one of the best players in the league, right? So whatever team Kawhi Leonard's on, that's how a lot of these young kids watch sports, right?
Sure, they have a
football. Football is still very tribalist in the community, but other sports, basketball, baseball, hockey, you got your favorite players and you just follow them for the younger generation. So
yeah.
But yeah,
I'll cheer for a player that I like on a different team, but I'm not suddenly rooting for that team.
Exactly.
That's how I root.
So yeah, well, it'd be interesting to see what happens with Disney. People are going to lose their jobs, and that's sad. But hopefully, the silver lining will be for fans. We get a better version of Disney and Disney shows and Marvel shows than we've been getting.
You got to stop putting out movies like Thor: Love and Thunder, and
yeah,
good.
Yeah. I mean, Thor: Love and Thunder, like obviously we need a Thor movie, right? But the direction they went was poor. Now there are some other properties, like Bob and I were talking about, like these Marvel streaming shows. Why don't you just make Marvel streaming like the, galactic version of Marvel? Like all the galactic stuff, do that in the Marvel streaming. And just have your movies be mainstream, and not all your characters need their own property. I think maybe the problem they get into is sometimes when they recruit these characters, they're like, hey, we'll give you your own vehicle to come on, sign on Marvel, and they thought they could do that with the streaming service, and it just hasn't panned out.
Yeah, and I think that was one of those things like Outback Steakhouse. Outback is the Outback Empire because they own so many different other restaurants, but Outback is the original name. Mm-hmm. And they were starting to get really popular in the late 90s and early 2000s, and they went from something like 200 something restaurants nationwide to like 600, like within like 2 years. And then they just kept expanding. I don't know if y'all remember, there was a while there, you just start seeing a new Outback somewhere. Yeah. Hey, there's a new Outback. What? And then their architecture started to change. Well, then they just grew way too big, way too fast. And they've had to close over half of that.
Yeah.
And
I will tell you this though, the Bloomin' Onion is fire.
Oh, it is. It's like it's like onion rings on steroids.
Yeah.
You haven't changed that recipe.
No.
You
know what I'm saying.
Onion, stick it in the fryer and bread it. Yeah. No, I got you. I love Outback. I haven't been to Outback in a minute. We got to
catch up on the Bloomin' Onion. That's where it's at.
Yeah, maybe we should do a stream from Outback.
I'm still torn about the Disney Plus or the Marvel shows that are on Disney Plus, because on one hand, I think it's very cool that some of these characters are going to be first introduced in a show and then they'll be in a big movie, or vice versa. It was cool to see what had been happening with Hawkeye after Endgame by doing that show. But at the same time, it's like that show got such bad reviews. I don't want to watch it. And I feel like the only way to to keep up. Like I didn't watch Miss Marvel. I heard too many stupid.
I didn't watch it either, but I've heard great things about it.
I heard it was just not. It was just kind of blah, And I was like, well, I have to watch that though if I want to be able to be in the know when it comes to the movie, And then like She-Hulk, you might see her again, but thank God that show is done, and I don't want to see another one. But
we hope. So we don't know. Yeah. There's been no official word. We hope it's done. We hope,
maybe the reorganization of Disney, like you can't put out shows like She-Hulk, man. It's not good.
No, She-Hulk had no point. Miss Marvel has a point, and I will say Miss Marvel, not only was it better than I thought it was, but it's good because there's a story there and the characters, you're actually working through stakes of something that matters. And they're not just trying to use a character to have them on screen. I don't know. Miss Marvel was a surprise, whereas Moon Knight was way too cluttered.
No, man. I told Bobo this. The direction they should have gone with Moon Knight. If you look at the alter ego he originally starts out with in the show, if you read his comic book counterpart, that alter ego is very much designed to be Bruce Wayne, right? And I think it would have been a much better hook for your audience if you had them coming in thinking, hey, we're just watching a Batman knockoff, and then plot twist, oh, no, this dude is legit nuts. This is like, what if Batman was really, really crazy, like legit crazy,
Well, that was kind of the selling point to comic fans, and people like, who's Moon Knight? And it's like, do you like Batman? It's like, well, imagine if Batman was like nuts.
Yeah, like literally crazy, right? That would have been a much better twist. Like, oh, we think we're getting Batman at the end. You show us, oh, we're getting something very different and much more crazy. That would have hooked a lot of viewers instead of trying to do this Egyptian mythology. And I think that's the downside of trying to tie everything together, because I think that was the general thought there is we got to tie it into Thor.
And going too fast, too much too fast, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
And the I'm sure this has been brought up in previous podcasts, but God bless. In the end of Eternals, you see like a gigantic whatever it was in the middle of the ocean. Why has that been ignored ever since then?
Okay, well, it hasn't been, because they did bring it up in She-Hulk.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
they talk about what's happening with the giant statue sticking out of the Indian Ocean. They bring it up in an episode.
Hey, listen, in Transformers, you got Unicron's horn sticking out of the middle of the desert. Nobody's apparently discovered that either. We know where the pyramids are, but we don't know where Unicorn's horn has just been sitting there. Nobody's Unicron. I said Unicron.
No, but I'm with you. I wish they would have brought it up more in the movies, but like their excuse, they was like, oh, we'll get to it when it's time. It's like, but now they're saying that Eternals 2 might not happen.
Yeah, they dropped the ball on that. But here's the thing, though. Honestly, anybody that's a comic book fan knew that Eternals was going to be tough. That's a tough. Not all comic fans love Eternals, right? So
I thought they did a good job with it, but it's a niche story even within the comic book community.
Yeah, I liked it, but I fail to see the necessity of it right now.
Yeah. Well, you know what we do see the necessity of, as we're going to wrap this up with our final two stories. More Kang. So, I know Bobo wasn't the biggest fan of Loki. I should backtrack. You didn't think it was the best Marvel show. It was my favorite Marvel show.
Oh, I liked it a lot. It's not my number one, but it's still in the top like 3 or 4 for sure.
Right. So potential spoilers, kids. So earmuffs if you're worried about spoilers. But we did get via Covered Geekly that there are potentially more Kang variants on the way in Loki. Following up on that claim, they say the Disney Plus series will feature a Kang variant who is an inventor in the past looking to buy specific items in order to manipulate the future. That's pretty vague, but very much sounds like one Victor Timely, who I'm actually not that familiar with, to be quite honest. But there's also rumors that there'll be more Kang variants on the way. So the year of Jonathan Majors just keeps on coming, man.
Well, he's got a whole movie named after him, Kang Dynasty.
Yeah, he's got Creed 3, and now he's going to be in Loki a bunch. So yeah,
he looks like a freaking monster in Creed.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Like, why isn't he doing the Tyson movie?
Yeah, yeah. Real talk. And you would have been good in it too.
Yeah,
but he is a solid actor. That's what's great about him. They actually did recruit a good actor that's going to be able to stick around, not just somebody that looks like the Kang in the comics, Yeah,
he's also got a new movie vehicle coming out about the African-American pilot in one of the World Wars.
Yeah. Devotion.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, with the same guy that was in Maverick.
Oh, why am I drawing a blank on his name?
He was the cocky one.
Yeah, he was Hangman.
Oh, Powell, right?
Glenn Powell. Glenn Powell.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good-looking chap right there from Austin, Texas.
Faux show, boy.
Yeah. But he, that looks good because, like, I was kind of disappointed in Dunkirk, and this looks like what I wanted from those Dunkirk airplane scenes.
Well, and this is actually based on not just a moment in time. This is based on like something that people accomplished over a period of time. So I think there's a lot of character development, and yeah, I want to see it. I just didn't. I think it's you can watch it on streaming now, like maybe to pay for it, but
yeah, and to your point, I think Dunkirk kind of gets lost in American audiences because it's not a moment in time we're familiar with. We don't understand the stakes of it. What was at play there, where kids who grew up in England probably have been well versed in the history of Dunkirk and how important it was to them. So I think it was just different stakes. I also just didn't like a lot of the filmmaking choices, though. I don't know why Christopher Nolan's always got to be playing with time. At this point, we all know you're doing it. It's not a surprise anymore when you play with the timeline. We expect it. We know it's coming. But as soon as I saw the movie, within 10 minutes, I turned to the guy, Cleese, my former co-host. I was like, "This motherfucker's playing with time again." Yeah.
Well, at least you can kind of understand it, but in Tenet, I still don't understand that movie.
Yeah. Well, speaking of time, a show that's been going on for a hot minute that's going to keep on going on and going on. Season 36 for The Simpsons. It got renewed for 2 more years. Seasons 35 and 36.
At
About
this point,
20 of those years.
40, right?
You subtract about 20 of those years. That's the last time I watched an episode of The Simpsons. One of my all-time favorite shows, but it's been a hot minute. I don't know about you guys. When the last time you watched The Simpsons were. Did you guys even know the show was still going on?
I did know it was still going on. And to Andrew's comment, he said, "Shouldn't Bart be like an adult or something?"
Yeah, Bart's older than we are, Holmes.
That's always been kind of the funny thing with The Simpsons, though, is like they don't.
Yeah, no,
they don't age.
It's funny.
But I've always loved the Simpsons. I thought the movie was hilarious, like way better than I was expecting it to be. Like truly a great job with it. But yeah, I'm like you. It's been so long since I've watched an episode. Like I couldn't even tell you what the writing style is like now, because I'm sure it's adapted and changed with time.
Yeah. What about you, Andrew? Were you a big Simpsons P1 back in the day? Did you do the Bart Simpson eat my shorts thing? Actually, I'm older than you guys, so that might be.
Caramba.
Yes and no. I mean, I've watched a lot of episodes, but I can't tell you that I've watched, in a chronological order from season 1 to now. I it's just one of those things that I got burnt out on, faster than a lot of people.
No, I watched it religiously in the beginning because it was that show your parents didn't want you to watch. Now it's so tame compared to like Family Guy and South Park.
Yeah. And by the way, Family Guy and Bob's Burgers also got released renewed for 2 more seasons. We'll talk about those briefly. But yeah, so The Simpsons, the Conan O'Brien years when he was writer were the best years. And there's a guy that has a great video essay series, and maybe I'll find it and link it to you guys later, where he does a breakdown on what the kind of the downturn of Simpsons writing, and it really coincides with Homer becoming dumber. Like they really dumbed down Homer from the beginning. In the beginning, Simpsons had a lot of nuance. Like you watch Simpsons as a kid, laugh at Eat My Shorts or whatever, and then watch that same episode 10 years later or 15 years later as an adult who now knows things about the world and politics and realize all these incredibly smart, genius comedic references that you missed the first time, right? Just real subtle humor with a lot of complexity that you were too young to understand, that now as you're an adult, you go back and rewatch the episode and you appreciate it and you find humor in completely different things. With that being said, I love me some dumb Homer. I'm not going to lie. Dumb Homer to me was the best.
Oh!
Yeah.
It was always funny that Bart was smarter than him,
Yeah. And then Lisa being smarter than all of them. And then, of course, the reason we have the Family Guy and, South Park and now Bob's Burgers is because of The Simpsons. We know Bobby he hates these shows because he hates big eyes on cartoons. Andrew, are any of these shows that you like in particular out of all of them?
Family Guy, I guess.
You didn't like South Park?
Yeah, I mean, I did, man, but it's just one of those things. I always found something more to do with my time than sit and watch South Park or a lot of shows, to be honest with you. I remember a mutual friend of mine and Bobby's was always talking about Richard. He was always talking about South Park. And I'm like, I'm like, you're talking to me about South Park. I didn't even know it was still on.
You remember Richard, don't you? Richard Harris,
a
right-wing extremist.
And I'm like, dude, he's running around with some Trump bumper sticker somewhere up in the North Plano area. He's got a family. I know that from Facebook. Shout out to Richard if you're watching this. I miss you, buddy. I miss making your blood pressure rise by throwing out random, left-wing comments that I don't even believe in just to see your anger boil on your face.
He and I have reconnected because he's a big bourbon lover. So he'll message me on Facebook and I'm like, hey, man, I got a great bottle of bourbon. We should go share it. And I'm like, how many times are you going to offer me that before we actually do that? But I just remember him like, I'm back in like 2008, 2007. He was talking about South Park. And I'm like, I didn't know that show was even still on at that. And that's when that was happening. So, I mean, I enjoyed South Park when I would watch it, but I just didn't care to keep up with it. The same thing with a lot of these shows.
Here's a video essay series I'm going to pitch. While we should be getting off the air as we've gone long, but why not? We'll get the fans to
we
give
do
us
need to cut it short in a minute just because we got to go do some things in a minute.
But the Family Guy really changed comedy in a lot of ways, and I think it changed it for the worse. I think it's changed comedy to reference-based comedy, where the whole goal of a writer now is not to elicit a laugh with actual humor, is to make the person excited that they understood a pop culture reference, and they will mistake the dopamine rush from understanding something and patting themselves on the back for actual humor. And I think Family Guy is responsible for that. And there's a great episode of South Park you do need to watch where they rip apart the writing style of Family Guy. And after I used to be a big Family Guy fan. After I watched that episode, I could never go back to watch another episode of Family Guy. And now I see that same shortcut in humor writing being attached to other comedies.
What they do is reveal the magic trick. They pull the curtain back and show you how they do it. And now it's hard to watch Family Guy because now you know what they're doing. And so when it happens, you think about it every time. You're like, damn.
Yeah. Ted Lasso does a lot of the same thing. That's why like people go crazy about Ted Lasso. And all I see is the manatee from South Park because it's the same type of humor and it makes it hard for me to laugh. And I think a lot of people are doing that. So,
but see, for me, Ted Lasso is good because the characters are just so lovable. And there is that pop culture thing as well, but that's also part of his character. But anyways, we're getting off on the tangent, but I do know what you mean. And he's right, Andrew, you should or maybe not. Maybe you don't want it to be ruined. You know what I mean? Because when you do watch that South Park episode, it is kind of like.
Now, I want it to be ruined because I think it's a good video essay. Like, I think we can really get some good material on this, and we can really start a conversation about did Family Guy change comedy for the worst? And Seth MacFarlane, a talented dude, right? I got love for Seth MacFarlane.
And you're not going to make me not like Family Guy. That's not what this,
Yeah, I'm not trying to not make you like Family Guy, but what I'm trying to start is a conversation about how writing has changed, I think, for the worst when it comes to comedy, and I think it needs to go back to the older style because I think writers are once again trying to take a psychological shortcut just to make people enjoy something instead of laugh at something. But we can talk about it during that essay. Maybe you guys will disagree with me. Maybe you, the viewer, have disagreed with everything I've said. Maybe you agreed with everything I've said. Maybe you don't like my face, and that's okay. You can go ahead and you know what you need to do is you need to comment below. You need to watch every video. You need to hit that subscription button so you can subscribe. Hit that notification button so you can be notified. And then comment about how you don't like my face on every video. It's okay. We just we want to build a community. Also, feel free to join our Discord. If I need to, I'll go ahead and throw that invite out there again as I vamp for a couple of minutes to get that done. But go ahead and join the Discord. Also, you can find us at Shogun of Cinema on Twitter, at Shogun of Cinema on Instagram. We will be there for your
get the Patreon
pleasure.
Going as well in a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna get that Patreon going. Worley will be a part of our Patreon. Hopefully, if he's got time. Worley is a responsible adult, so unlike us unresponsible adults, we need to make sure Worley's schedule is clear.
It took me 40 years, man.
Yeah.
Hey, but you're there. It took me 40 years.
I'm older than you, and I'm still not there. So, it's a different journey for different folks, right? But we'll be getting that Patreon open, patreon.com/BrassReel. We'll be posting some Patreon episodes. We're going to get live on that Patreon. We're going to say some outlandish shit on the Patreon because we can. And so if you don't like muted conversations, if you're okay with being anti-woke, anti-PC, then join us for our Patreon because we don't care about where the conversation goes. We're not easily offended, and join us and be a part of those conversations. Also hit us up on facebook.com/BrassReel. Check us out on TikTok as well at BrassReel. And until next time, Worley, if life gives you lemons, what should you do?
Make some hot fresh popcorns.
We out.
Peace.